Hello, friends, and welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. There's a lot of new people here, and I just want to say welcome. I am so glad to have you here. The dreary days of November have fully arrived. The air is brisk, and the skies are gray and full of rain. My thoughts have recently been on the meaning of homemaking. I find so many videos on homemaking are focused on the new home decor, filling our houses with new things in order to make it feel special. This isn't the case though, especially for a lot of people who can't afford all of the new home decor and specialty throw pillows. Homemaking doesn't need to be an expense. Making our homes feel homey and comfortable can be done at very little to no expense, and in my opinion, can be even better. Homemaking to me is creating a sense of comfort for my family, a sense of home. This can be done in many ways, like starting out with a healthy homemade breakfast. Being able to take the time to cook up a healthy, warm cooked breakfast for my family to share together creates a sense of tradition and a sense of home. This does not need to be fancy or special in any way. This morning, I'm just whipping up a quick batch of pancakes, which my kids absolutely love. I will put the recipe for these pancakes in the description box. After our breakfast, we'll start our morning off with homeschool, and then I'll start into my chores. Because my children homeschool and I stay at home, that means our house is lived in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that means that there's a little bit more wear and tear. We'll call it well-loved. And being in a well-loved house is quite all right. Now that winter's rolling in, I also start a fire first thing in the morning. I think having a warm house while it's so cold out is one of the most comfortable and inviting things that I can do. This wood cook stove has been such a comfort and such a blessing to us. We are able to heat our house throughout the winter with free firewood. It just takes our time and our effort to collect it, but we're able to get it for free and keep it in our garage and use it over the winter. I like to try and keep my entryways clean and tidy so that when someone's coming in, it's not distraction with clutter. This can be hard as there's a lot of people that come in and out, so things do get cluttered, so it does need constant attention. This morning, I'm just starting in the front entryway, just sweeping up and keeping things tidy out there, removing the pumpkins as Halloween's over, and bringing one in so I can bake with it later. I try to reduce clutter as much as possible. This is something I admittedly struggle with. As a late diagnosed person with ADHD, doom piles tend to grow sometimes. The more I learn about ADHD, the better I am able to deal with this, but it's still a struggle for me. I find if I take one room at a time or one task at a time, I can really deal with the task avoidance that comes with ADHD. And then there's those fun days where I get hyper fixated on cleaning the house and I can power clean the house all in one day. So at the end of the day, it all evens out. I find cooking and baking with the seasons to be a healthier and more cost-effective solution. A lot of pumpkins and squashes go on clearance right after Halloween as they're no longer used for decor. In Canada, our Thanksgiving has already passed, so a lot of the people are moving into Christmas decorating. So all of those pumpkins that were used during Thanksgiving and Halloween for decor are now very, very cheap. I've even been known to cook up our Halloween jack-o'-lanterns the day after Halloween because I just can't see pumpkin go to waste. So even though I was using these pumpkins for decor, I'm going to make sure that they don't go to waste and I use them in my cooking and baking. Today, I'm going to make some pumpkin cinnamon buns, a nice fall treat. I find the easiest way to cook a pumpkin or a squash is just to cut it open, empty the seeds out, put it in my slow cooker with a little bit of water, and put it on high for 2 hours. This will steam the pumpkin or the squash until the flesh is nice and soft. Next, I'm going to be moving on to stripping the beds to be washed. I find there's no better feeling than climbing into a bed with freshly washed sheets. It is so comforting at the end of the day. When I think about my own homemaking experience, I like to think back about my own childhood and what made our house feel like a home, what made our house comfortable to me as a child. I was brought up on a low income. I even remember a time when my dad was out of work for a long time, and my brother and I would go along with my parents as they did odd job work, like painting or repairing things. But it never felt like we didn't have much. Back then, my mother kept a meticulous house and filled it with old antiques that she would fix up into beautiful things. She bought them on a budget and then repaired them into great things. Despite a low income, she made an amazing home. So I try to think back of that time in my childhood and what made my home feel like a home, and then I try to recreate that in my own home for my kids. I try to create a space and an atmosphere that is safe for them, that is comfortable, that is caring. Having a freshly made bed says that to me, so I try to make sure that happens often. I also go through the house every day and tidy all the piles of things that have been left places. And I have a husky. I actually have 3 dogs and 1 cat at home, so my floors are never clean. For anyone that's ever owned a husky, you know the struggle of the constant fluff piles that are found all around the house. We have actually nicknamed her the Fluff in honor of the gifts that she leaves everywhere. This is our back entranceway, and the one that is used most often. For that reason, it is almost always in a state of disarray. So I find I come back here daily to hang things where they belong and tidy up. As I said earlier, I find a clean entranceway is important for how someone feels when they're coming home. I find I sweep now more than vacuuming because our broom can handle the amount of dog fur and husky fur a lot better than what the vacuum could. I used to vacuum quite frequently, but the vacuum ended up getting bogged up and broke because of the amount of dog fur that unfortunately my husky puts out, despite being brushed often. To add a special touch when someone's coming in the door, I also like to add a couple of drops of lavender essential oil so that when someone comes in, that's the first thing that they smell. And that's the smell that they attribute with entering our house. And I don't know if anybody else has the same problem I do with the reusable bags, but they end up everywhere. They create almost more clutter than anything else. This here is in our entranceway, and I find that it oftentimes ends up being a drop zone for all the things. So sometimes I get overwhelmed by all the things that end up here, and I just end up having that task avoidance from the ADHD, and it kind of just leaves my mind. But every now and again, I garner my strength and I go and clean it all up. But also within a house that's constantly in motion, I know that this is going to pretty much end up in the same position again within a week. Repetitive jobs like this can definitely be a struggle, so I try to make them as enjoyable as possible by listening to music or a podcast while I'm doing them. Part of homemaking for me is also making sure that my kids are involved with the tasks that they enjoy doing. My kids love to bake and have been helping me since they've been able to stand. Although granted, sometimes they just do it so they get to lick the spoon. My son is helping me here with the pumpkin cinnamon rolls. We're just starting with the dough. If you're looking for the recipe, I'll have it listed in the description box for you. The pumpkin came out of the slow cooker nice and soft and is ready for the cinnamon rolls. I really enjoyed this recipe. The dough was so fluffy and soft, and the spices in it made me think of Christmas. This is definitely one that I will do again. I find baking and home-cooked meals to also be a large tie to memories of home. I like to bake and to cook with the seasons, as I mentioned, having cookies, muffins, or pies typically available, and a hearty homemade meal ready for everyone at the end of a busy day. Certain spices have a way of warming you and comforting you. I found this to be the case in this recipe. Spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and clove. I think because they're tied to the holidays so much, they always derive a sense of joy and comfort for me. I remember as a child coming home from school and my mom having made homemade cookies. It was always the best feeling, as homemade is always better than store-bought. So in the winter months especially, I always like to have some fresh baked goods around. I hope when my children are older and they think of their home and their childhood, they'll have fond memories of baking and cooking with me. That the smell of freshly baked cinnamon buns or muffins will remind them of a happy time in their childhood. That special feeling cannot be purchased. It can only be created with time and love. Because I believe that smell does hold a lot of memories for us, I make sure that as I'm remaking the bed with the nicely washed sheets, that I put a couple of drops of lavender essential oil on the beds and then one drop on the pillow. It does have to be essential oil for us though, as I cannot handle the chemical scent of fake smells, as I suffer from migraines and it makes it a lot worse. So I do invest in the good essential oil. If you are looking for frugal ways to have fun with your family, libraries are a treasure trove of free things to borrow. I recently did a short on ours. It has tons of DVDs, CDs, as well as things like bird watching kits, snowshoes, Ontario Parks day passes, board games, and puzzles. We love taking advantage of all of these as they are great to add family time together. At the end of the day, the love of a family is what makes the home, not the items purchased, not the throw pillows, and not the home decor, but the fun that you have together and the love that you share. Thank you all so much for joining me here today, and I'll see you next time.